Welcome to Sports Close-Up. Mike Fiorello, Jim Berger. Jim, how you doing?
Not too bad, Mike. Haven't sat in these chairs for a while, huh?
Boy, we haven't been back at the studio for a while, but what a great show, huh? We had the chance to interview someone that got you excited.
It was Ian Cole of the Pittsburgh Penguins. It was a really tremendous opportunity. I can't thank Palmero Toyota, Allison, enough for setting that up for us.
Exactly.
It's not often you have a Stanley Cup winner come to town.
No, it's not. So without further ado, let's get right to the interview. Welcome to Sports Close-Up. Jim Berger, Mike Fiorello. Very special guest today from the Stanley Cup champions, Pittsburgh Penguins, Ian Cole. Ian, thanks for coming on.
Of course. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it, guys.
Now, born and raised in Michigan.
Yes, sir.
Where about?
Ann Arbor.
Also a big Michigan University fan, too?
I was growing up until I attended the University of Notre Dame.
Right.
So I defected a little bit.
Not a Fighting Irish.
Yep.
So tell us about your childhood. When did you start skating and when did you get involved in hockey?
Started skating at a young age. My dad played his whole life, never at a very high level, but played his whole life and loved it. So he got me started skating when I was, 2 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old. I was out there and in the backyard rink that he would build me. Pretty stereotypical story there for a hockey player, but yeah. So skating since I was there, since I was like 2, 3, 4, and then got in a team I think when I was 4 or 5, and was loved it ever since, and I always wanted to play. Could never get enough of it. I come back from practice at the rink, and I jump on our backyard rink and play for another 6 hours, and loved it. So it was something that he introduced me to, and then I ran with it.
So mom and dad took you to practices and the games and so forth?
Oh yeah. They were doing the early morning 6 a.m. practices, and then I'd come back and watch Sonic the Hedgehog when I was a little kid.
Yeah,
so
yep.
I do remember that pretty vividly.
Growing up, big Red Wing fan?
Oh yeah, big Nick Lindstrom fan, especially as a defenseman. He and Steve Eisenman. It's tough not to love those guys, even if you're not from the Detroit area.
Right.
I mean, they're just too. They were so dominant when they played, and they were such big names, and two guys that I think everyone tries to, emulate themselves after both on and off the ice.
So Notre Dame, you went to, and they have an outstanding football program, as everybody knows, but they also have an outstanding hockey program. How did they recruit you, and why Notre Dame?
Yeah, they do. They have an awesome hockey program now. They didn't before. They started recruiting me when I was a freshman in high school, actually. So they started very early, and then they were actually the first school to offer me a full scholarship as a sophomore in high school. And I sat on it for a while, visited a lot of other schools, got offers from other schools, but I was able to get to Notre Dame early and really look at the campus and think to myself, like, wow, I really love this place. I love many different aspects of it. I love the academics. I love the athletics. I just love the culture around Notre Dame. And I love the campus. And I went and visited other schools, Michigan, Wisconsin, and the campus just isn't the same. It's a very urban campus versus Notre Dame, which is very closed off and kind of sequestered, which was I think makes it even more special. So they started early and got in there first, and no one after I saw Notre Dame could quite compete with them. So it was a long time coming, but I ended up committing there as a sophomore in high school, and then loved every minute of it when I was there.
What was it like when you guys played Michigan? When you went up to Ann Arbor and played? Like, I'm sure you had a big cheering section. Was it kind of weird for you? Or how would they treat you and everything?
Yeah, I don't know if maybe the opposing fans might have been a little bit harder on me just because I was from Ann Arbor. But no, we definitely had a lot of fans, a lot of family, friends, and cousins and aunts and uncles in the stands when I played up there. Obviously, my parents would be there, so it was a lot of fun. I mean, Yost, kind of generally speaking, is always one of the hardest rinks to play at in college hockey. The student section is always right behind both benches, so they're over the glass yelling at you over the bench, and the band's sitting right up above your goalie, chirping him basically every goal he lets in, every time he takes his mask off, saying he's ugly, all those things. So it's it's obviously it's one of those rinks that's a challenge to play at, but being from Ann Arbor and growing up going to those games, it was really special for me.
Then you're probably that guy that was chirping at the other goalie too.
Oh, of course. You got to mix it up a little bit, give it back to him.
Right. You mentioned the academics that drew you in there. Notre Dame is pretty high level academically, pretty high level hockey. Yeah. Was it difficult to balance? How'd that work? What was the support system like and everything?
They were extremely supportive. We had tutors for whenever we needed anything. They had academic advisors for us, both through the school and through the athletics. So we had quite a few avenues to go if we needed help, if we needed guidance, if we needed, basically anything we needed, we had access to that. So they were great in that respect, just because I think they know that it is a hard school academically. So they try to make it, but they don't want players dropping out. They don't want student athletes dropping out or leaving because, well, maybe for selfish reasons, because it hurts their numbers as to have kids that graduate. So, no, they were great about that, and the team's very cognizant of the fact that there is quite a weight on academics, and you can only miss three. I think the school really can only miss 3 days a semester in any given class. So the school is very aware of that, and the team is very aware of that in their scheduling, and they try to make it work as best they can. And so it's hard, but I think if you keep your nose to the grindstone, you can figure it out. And fortunately for us, everyone on our team did. So,
when did you realize that you had the ability to play in the NHL, and did you ever think you'd be a first-round pick?
Oh man, no, I didn't think I'd ever be a first-round pick. I mean, you hope so, but I don't think you ever really know that necessarily. I think for me, when I was asked to be on the U.S. national team program as a senior year of high school, that was something where I'm like, okay, maybe I could be doing this down the road professionally. I mean, you always want to do it as a kid. You always want to play professionally, but the chances are, whatever they are, 1 in 20 billion, whatever they actually play. Very slim, let's just say that. You never really know until you start to kind of work your way up that pyramid, and you're like, oh, I'm still here. Oh, I'm still here. Oh, I'm still here. Like, I might actually have a chance of doing this. So I think that you don't try to think about it too much. You just kind of keep working hard and keep trying to get better. And fortunately, it took care of itself.
And let's go back. The NHL drafts upon us. St. Louis Blues give you the call. Your first-round pick by the Blues. Tell us what your family and you felt like that. I mean, that had to be unbelievable.
Yeah, it was a whirlwind for sure. I mean, going into the draft, I was projected to go in late second, early third round, and I had a really, really good U18 World Championship about a month before the draft. So I think that really helped a lot. And the St. Louis Blues traded up 6 picks to take me at 18. Yeah. So that was, they felt they had to trade up to get me earlier, which is kind of a cool thing to think about when you're looking back on it. Because you're just sitting there and you're like, man, what's this? Is it going to happen? And the way it's structured is that the first round's on day one, so you don't want to get your hopes up thinking you're going in day one, and then you go home that night to wait for the next day for rounds 2 through 7. So you don't want to get too ahead of yourself. You're just kind of sitting there watching, and then it happens, and they start to announce the name, and they're like, from the whatever they said, I think from the U.S. national team, and I'm like, oh, I played for that team, and from Ann Arbor, Michigan, you're like, oh, that's my hometown, and you're like, defenseman Ian Cole, you're like, I'll play defense, and you're like, Ian Cole, I'm like, whoa, no way. And actually, funny story, I remember I had glasses on at the time, and I took my glasses off because I didn't want to wear my glasses on stage, so I took my glasses off and tried to put them in the cup holder, and I missed the cup holder in the stadium seats in Columbus. And as I stood up, I was like, "Well, yeah," put them in the cup holder, and I started hugging everybody. And my dad dives right down on the ground to pick up the glasses because he's like, "Those were expensive. Those are $200. I'm not letting you step on those glasses." So
Dad, I'm a first-round pick.
Yeah, exactly. So it was pretty funny because everyone else is standing up taking pictures, and all of a sudden you see him pop up 10 seconds later after he picked the glasses up and took care of them for me. So that was pretty funny.
Did you guys have a moment that evening, though, maybe went out to dinner or something as a family and think back of all the hard work you guys put in as a family and first round pick? That had to be an unbelievable moment.
Yeah, it's the Blues had a reception after the draft, which is pretty cool. You got to meet the management, and the scouts, and there were actually two other players that were drafted in the first round for St. Louis that year. David Perron, who was here in Pittsburgh for a little bit, and Lars Eller, who I think is now in Washington by way of Montreal. And so you got to meet those guys, meet their families, and then you kind of go back to the hotel at midnight at 1 a.m, and you're like, whoa, like this actually happened. So and it's kind of the similar feeling to like the Stanley Cup, where you're so focused for so long, and you're okay, just one game at a time. I'm just going to go out this shift and do my job. And you're so confident that you can win, but you're not really thinking about that. You're just kind of continuing to move forward, right? And then it actually happens, and you have to step back and you're like, whoa, like holy crap, like this actually just happened. Yeah. Like this is crazy. So it's something that you don't really think about at the time, but then when you look back on it, you keep getting these little reminders that hey, I was a first round pick. Hey, like I did win the Stanley Cup. Like that's awesome.
You mentioned playing in the World Juniors, had a big tournament there. We know the World Cup of Hockey and all that's going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like, representing your country on that stage? I'm sure, the opponents, the high level play like every night. I mean, I couldn't imagine what was that like, representing the country.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously a lot of pride in your team when you play hockey, but I think anytime you wear the jersey of your country and you're representing your country, there's almost even more, maybe patriotic pride, maybe a little different, but so it's really special. I know if USA Hockey called me and wanted me to play in the World Cup, like I'd be there in a heartbeat. I've talked to Sully about that because he's an assistant coach, so I don't know, we'll see. Right. Maybe next go around. But I think that. It's something that it's really special, and we went to the game last night with Sid and Gino, and it's not shinny hockey. They're not scrimmaging, like they're going all out, even in an exhibition game, and there's a ton of pride there, and it's something that anytime you can wear the jersey of your country, it's something special.
Tell us about your first NHL game with the Blues. That must have been exciting.
That was awesome. It was actually in Columbus where I got drafted. No, actually that's a lie. It was in Boston.
Ooh, Boston.
Yeah, in Boston.
The Bruins.
And then my second one was at MSG against the Rangers. And those were both games where two really good teams. It was certainly a whirlwind for sure. You're kind of just trying to hang on and not screw up when you're out there. And fortunately, we actually won both those games, and I wasn't completely awful, so that was good.
And tell us real quickly, you win the Stanley Cup, you get traded to the Penguins. You had a great season this year, a great second half by the team. You guys win the Stanley Cup. What's it like to walk, parade around that rink with the cup?
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, it's being able to, hug all your teammates and all the coaching staff and everyone that put in so much time, and just kind of, feel that excitement from everyone, and then your families come out, and you're able to hug your parents and your sister and your wife, and you're able to see all these people. And it's just kind of like everything, like you said, that your family has invested in you as a person and as a hockey player throughout your whole life kind of comes to that culmination, and you kind of summit that. It's something that's really special, and the ability to share it, and then you get your cup day too, where you can share it with your family, and it's something that's really unique, and I think really special to hockey. And it's amazing.
Name's going to be on there forever.
Yep.
On the cup. Getting your rings here down the road?
Yep, we're getting our rings. We just got an email about it today, actually, a save the date. I think it's October 9th, 10th, 11th, something like that. I need to go look back at the email again to figure out when I'm getting my ring. But it's coming up soon.
And one great thing about the city of Pittsburgh, I don't know if you know this, but all the professional teams, same color, black and gold.
You know what? I did notice that. Yeah.
The only city in the United States that'll have the same color each team.
Yep, I know. I love it because it's kind of like you can wear them to anything.
Right.
Yeah, it's true.
Exactly.
I'll wear my Pirates hat to a Penguins game.
I know, and it's totally acceptable because it's the same colors.
Right.
Yeah.
We want to thank you, Ian, for a couple of minutes here today, and so happy to have you on. Good luck the rest of your career. Good luck this season coming up, and a lot of Penguins fans here to see you today, and also playing in Pittsburgh. What a great fan base.
Yep, no, they're extremely knowledgeable fans and very passionate fans, which, when we don't play well in the first half of the year, they give it to us, and when we play well in the second half of the year and then bring home a Stanley Cup, they love it. So you got to really appreciate that as a hockey player, and the fans here have been nothing but fantastic.
Well, thank you very much,
Yep,
Ian. It's
for
been
sure.
a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
Thank
guys.
you.
Appreciate it.
How much fun was that interview?
It was tremendous. And he was such a nice guy, down to earth,
Isn't he,
easy
though?
to talk to. You never would have thought that he was a big-time professional athlete.
Exactly, and then he met with a lot of people that came. He signed autographs and pictures, and he even had a little bit of shooting the puck with some young kids. What a great person, and another example why the Penguins and their organization has done so well.
Yeah, really, they're easy to root for, too. You don't have any of those jerks. And, I think we mentioned it in the interview. It seems like, hockey players always seem to be the most down-to-earth guys, and Pittsburgh's really lucky with the group that they have. And, winning the Stanley Cup, I couldn't be happier myself. I'm a diehard Penguins fan, I'm not going to lie, and it was an awesome experience to watch them last year.
Well, like he talked about, what's the chances of getting traded to a Stanley Cup contender and then getting the Stanley Cup, and as he said, they're going to get their rings in a short period of time, and that's something you have forever.
Oh, it's going to be incredible. Yeah, ceremony in Washington, White House. I mean, I couldn't imagine what that would be like. Something on that scale. And he talked about his beginnings too. That was also great to listen to. Growing up in Michigan and going to Notre Dame. I mean, it was an outstanding conversation. It was great to get to know someone like that.
Got to see the Golden Dome. So you being a great big Penguin fan, they have to be one of the favorites to repeat, right?
I would think so, yeah. I know they talk a lot about the off-season hangover after the Stanley Cup because, like Ian said, it's only been, 8 weeks since they won the Stanley Cup, 8-9 weeks. So it's going to be a quick summer, I think. But, hopefully they're healthy. I know Phil Kessel was a little banged up, but I think he'll be okay. The one injury I am a little worried about, Matt Murray, the starting goalie, broke his hand in the World Cup of Hockey. But thankfully, they have Marc-Andre Fleury.
That's interesting you bring up the World Cup because that's one of the things I think sometimes coaches are concerned about is one of their players goes to the teams that play in the World Cup is the injury factor.
Yeah, really. And it's not like those guys are taking it easy either.
Not
they're
at all.
very competitive. Those games are very high level. They're awesome to watch. But, yeah, that injury is certainly a risk. But like I said, it's good that they have an insurance policy in Marc-Andre Fleury. He can still be a starter for every NHL team. So I guess they'll break camp with him as the starter, and then Matt Murray will have to win the job back. But speaking of that World Cup of Hockey, that was some interesting hockey. That was awesome to watch.
What did you think of it? I mean, Canada won it all, but what did you think of Team Europe?
They were very impressive. They were young. They were fast. I mean, they were clearly one of the best teams. I think that they were, right there with Canada. It's a shame the United States kind of.
What about the USA early exit? And, the coach of the USA team isn't one of the most compassionate people.
He can be a bit abrasive, I think you can say.
Yeah.
But,
Got a good choice in their coach.
I mean, I don't know who else. I know Sullivan was on the staff, too.
Was it the coach or was it the players?
I think it was the makeup of the roster myself. Because like you said, you saw Europe flying around there with speed. Canada's got the greatest players in the world on their team. It didn't seem like the United States really had the best of the best. And, I can't blame the team that they had. I just don't think they had the talent. They had the group that was able to pull something like that off in the tournament. It's not like the Olympics a couple of years ago. So.
And World Cup, is that every 2 years?
4.
Every 4. How important is the World Cup, though? Is it still have the importance of one stig, do you think, or is it diminishing?
I think that since the NHL players are involved now, and it was on ESPN, they tried to really pump it up, which was pretty cool to see. The first time hockey's been on ESPN probably for
long time.
18 years.
I got to see Barry Melrose again do the games.
Yeah, Barry Melrose and Steve Levy. That was good to hear him. It was like old times. But I think that it's getting more popular. I think the fact that it was held in Toronto helped things also. A lot of big crowds, loud crowds, and Canada winning it on the home ice. I think it was pretty popular in the hockey world. I mean, I'm not sure in the whole scope of things, especially with baseball and the NFL going on right now. But I think for hockey fans, it's a pretty big deal.
And especially having it in Canada, like you said, if it was in the United States with everything that was going on, as we taped this, the Ryder Cup just ended, and kudos to the United States team for kicking butt for a change.
They brought it back finally. Yes, that was some riveting golf. I know Europe tried to come back, but yeah.
First match was awesome.
Yep. They it's also good on the home turf as well. What Hazeltine, an old farm out there in Minnesota.
Yes, exactly. And I see when it was over, a couple of European players complained that they felt the course was too easy.
Too easy.
They said it was too easy. The pin placements were too easy, and the American captains said, "Well, it's our home course, and we designed to play that way because we knew our team was better putters." And
And if it's easy for
Justin Rose wasn't happy at all about the. He said it was like playing in a pro-am.
Well, if it's easy for the United States, it's just as easy for Europe, right?
I know. And Rory McIlroy said there wasn't enough rough. See, the Europeans can play out of those things because they play a lot of,
And if I was playing, I would have found enough rough. Don't worry.
Me too. That's what they think it was deep enough. But the Europeans play a different kind of style of golf too.
Yeah.
They run it a lot more. So
Really,
whatever. But kudos to the United States team, and David was off the third for bringing it back. And how about some of the vice captains? You had Bubba Watson, you had Tiger Woods, and you had Jim Furyk, three of your vice captains. A lot of knowledge there.
Yeah, I read a very interesting article about that, about the makeup of the team and how they kind of went back to the drawing board before this year's Ryder Cup.
Pushed by Phil Mickelson.
Yeah.
He was very outspoken about that.
Yes, he was adamant. But, I guess they had him studying weather patterns in Minnesota and, like you said, the quality of the greens at Hazeltine and where the pin placements are. So a lot went into it than just picking, the best guys.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And Europe had a very young 22-year-old player that was outstanding. His last name was Scott. We forgot his first name, but man, this kid's going to be good for a long time.
And that's the other cool thing about the Ryder Cup. You see the big names, but there's also some guys like that you'll be discovering. The United States had a couple also. So it's cool to see the makeup of those teams and how those guys perform on the big stage like that.
No doubt about that. And now, as we're taping this, Jim, we're into the baseball playoffs, and I want your pick for your favorite National League, American League team. Two teams going to meet in the series in your mind.
That I think will meet?
Yeah.
Probably, I'd say the Cubs, as much as I hate to say it, and the Rangers would probably be my picks right now. Anything could happen again, baseball.
I'm going to go Cubs because that's everybody's pick right now, and I'm going to go Red Sox.
Yeah, they're dangerous.
And I think David Ortiz being his last year, he's had a great year too. I just think they're going to be. But I thought, as the series might be over already as this airs, but I'm going to throw it out to the Indians, Red Sox. Francona managed the Red Sox. Farrell was the pitching coach for Cleveland.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing right there?
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of it's an eerie thing. So both of those managers know the other organization very well. Now,
I'll definitely be rooting for the Tribe, for certain. But
oh, yeah.
It's good to see them.
Especially to see what their football team is going to be like. First round pick again this year. But that young kid, Kessler, quarterbacking for the Browns, they might have one.
Yeah, I think so. And Terrell Pryor has been a very good weapon for them.
Hasn't
he
he
can
been?
do just about everything. A 6'7" receiver. He can be quarterback. He can run. And I think he helps them out a lot. But yeah, you're probably right. I don't think they're going to be winning 9 games this year. But
No. And I also think the Steelers will be in the playoffs. I know they're 3-1 as we speak, but they're tough to beat at Heinz Field. I'm going to tell you right now.
Yeah, they're off to a pretty good start, and still they're not healthy.
And they just got Bell back.
They throttled the Chiefs, and he still lost. They still had a couple linemen out. They lost a couple players during the game. I still don't really know what that team would be like if they were 100% healthy across the board. It would be kind of scary.
I think every team is going through injuries again, and I think because protecting the players is becoming a big thing. More and more players are not being rushed back into action. You have the concussion protocol, other injuries too. I think teams, because they invest so much money in these players, they're not pushing them or rushing them back. Where in the 60s and 70s, if you knew what day it was, they put you back in there.
Yeah.
So it's a different thing. But I think the Steelers look really good. Carson Wentz for the Eagles is the real deal.
He looks pretty good too. Yeah, definitely. And I don't think the Eagles had very high hopes going into this year. I think this was going to be kind of a rebuilding year for them. Still getting rid of the Chip Kelly system and bringing in the rookie quarterback. I think that, maybe 8-8, 9-7 would have been good. But now, look out.
Sam Bradford getting traded from the Eagles to the Vikings is really helping Minnesota. They're off and running.
Yeah, people were saying the Vikings might be the best team in the
What
NFC.
a defense.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah.
I mean, their defense is for real, and we all know you win with defense, so they're doing well. And they're a sleeper team to do really well in the NFL and the NFC this year. AFC, Denver looks strong again.
Yeah, and again, that's good considering, didn't really have a quarterback to speak of coming into the year.
What about Elway, though? He gets rid of Osbrock or whatever. He didn't want to re-sign. Manning retires, and he just picks some young kid, and the kid's doing well.
He is kind of like, insert a piece here, and then they're going to go with it. It's almost kind of like a Tom Brady light or a New England light. They just plug pieces into that system, and they're going to keep winning somehow. Although the Bills did kind of throttle the Patriots this past weekend, which wasn't too sad. I wasn't too sad to see that.
No, but 3-1 without Brady.
Right. Yeah.
They take that, and Brady returns, and I think New England will be in the playoffs.
Yep.
Guaranteed they'll make the playoffs, especially the East. I mean,
Yep.
Buffalo maybe, but the Dolphins and Jets look like they'll be looking at the draft board again early.
Yeah, Fitzpatrick's not having the best season.
Not at all in Miami. How long did they stay with Tannehill?
He had a decent year last year, I guess. I don't know if they're going to give him a benefit of the doubt, but you're right. He just kind of makes mistakes with the wrong times. That's what bad teams seem to do. They always find a way to lose it.
No doubt about that. He doesn't look that good at that time. Other things we want to bring up. Anything on your mind about Gatorland? What's going on in Gatorland at this time?
Well, it's a busy fall season.
Got their first win recently.
That was very good. Mike had the call on that one.
Coach Hammer had to be excited.
I think he was. I think it's more of a relief as well. But it was great to see. Nice crowd on homecoming. Pretty good game. Both teams were. You could tell that both teams were kind of struggling a little bit at certain parts of the game, but the Allegheny prevailed. Strong running game. I was happy to see that. Like we said off camera, I haven't seen them run the ball like that in 3 or 4 years. So,
I agree.
It's very encouraging entering the bye week. So have some good.
They got some young talent.
They really do. Young, exactly.
Yeah, freshman kids that are making some big plays for them.
Starting 18 freshmen and sophomores, I believe. So the sky's definitely the limit, and they have the talent, they have the physical ability. It's just a matter of learning how to win. And
some of their young talent in the back end of their defense, I'm excited about. I thought they really cover well and move to the ball pretty fast. And then learning as they play, and the only way you learn is by playing.
You have
games.
to play. Yep, exactly.
Because that team they beat, Oberlin, they had some good receivers out there.
They did. 2 of the guys were top 2 leading receivers in the conference, and I believe 173 passing yards we held them to. So
yeah, I thought they did a real good job defending that pass.
And up front, you have guys like Marcus Davenport. He was all over the place. Colton Buzzard, Travis Thomas. So.
I'll tell you, Davenport's engine never stops running.
And he's a big guy too.
He's a big guy out there. Yep. And I think they're going to get bigger because my partner Vic was telling me when he interviewed the coach. Coach said they're going to be lifting soon. Season's over. He's putting in a breakfast program, which is interesting.
That is interesting, yes.
He said that they want to make sure they eat good breakfast from now on.
That's interesting. I'm sure Coach Hammer is very thorough. I'm sure that he will see all the detail. And he comes from a very winning program.
Oh, yes,
Wabash is probably, one of, I think, the top 5 winningest programs in NCAA history, so he knows what it takes.
And they have to lift. They have to get big because the competition they play is big.
Yeah, especially schools like Wabash and like DePaul. Some of those bigger Wittenberg, that's the only way to. You said it. They have to lift. They have to get on par physically with some of the teams that they'll be playing, because the talent is there, the know-how is there. It's just the size. Once you get out in the field and win those battles.
What I like about Coach too, and maybe we'll have a chance to interview him when the season's over. Is if you don't want to be part of his program, that's okay. See ya.
No skin off his back.
It's going to be his way.
It is, yes. And again, that's how you develop a winning program. Everyone's got to be on board. Everyone's got to buy in, from the seniors to the freshmen.
A couple of baseball notes real quickly. Mr. Bonds, Miami fired him.
I saw that. It said there was a bit of strife between him and Mr. Mattingly.
Yeah.
I think the players liked him. I'm looking forward to reading a little bit more into this situation.
Me too, but I'm thinking, how can you go against your manager? You're the hitting coach.
Especially a manager like Don Mattingly. It's not like he didn't know what he was doing hitting-wise.
And Mattingly is going to be there. The owner brought him in because he was from New York also, and he loved Mattingly when he was a player. So Mattingly's job was never going to be in jeopardy. So Bonds is the odd man out, which surprises me. But yeah, he's gone. Arizona, GM,
clean. That's interesting.
Manager.
Also, keeping La Russa on board too.
Well, they said he's going to be a little more of an advisor and a little less of a power person. So.
I remember beginning of the year we talked about it. They brought in Greinke. They spent all that money
a lot of money.
Didn't win 70 games.
Walt Weiss stepped down as the manager of the Rockies.
Yeah, Robert Manshore and the White Sox.
I know you knew that was coming.
Yeah, he was, especially
time.
with the rise of the Cubs. I
Yes.
saw an article again too. You know, that kind of put the
a good
heat on
point.
them to win.
Yep.
Attendance was down. I think they had like the third lowest attendance in the American League, and
I thought very quietly, and he probably won't get any votes for manager of the year, and he probably doesn't deserve any, but very quietly I thought Joe Girardi did one of his best jobs this year with the Yankees.
oh yeah, and you can see the roster construction is starting to really pay off for them.
They got to go young.
That's what I know you've been saying
And I'm
that.
happy they're going young, and they got to let these young kids play in spring training. Hopefully 4 or 5 will win a job. They got to get some young pitching next, and I think Yankees are still a year or two away from contending, but that's okay. You just can't buy people.
Right.
Like you said, you know, go out and buy Greinke and think, oh, your roster's set. You got to go through your system. The Pirates, if they can find some young pitching, Jim, they're going to be a tough team.
I think the pitching's not in a terrible spot.
Okay.
You know, I know a lot of people were upset to see Liriano go. I mean, I think that he was a good leader for that group. He didn't have a good year statistically. He did with the Blue Jays, of course, as soon as he left Pittsburgh. But I think that, you know, the Chad Cole, he can be very good. He's a rookie. Jameson Taillon was awesome. Tyler Glasnow just needs to learn how to throw strikes. So
John Neese was a gamble, and it fell through.
It did, yes. The
that
Mets won
hurt
that
them.
deal.
And that
Yep.
hurt them.
Yeah, I agree. And
Now, is Ivan Nova going to be okay next year?
if they keep him, I don't know. I think they want to sign him, but Mr. Nutting is not the most doesn't have the deepest pockets, so you never know. I really do think they want to sign him, and he was awesome for the Pirates the second half of the season as well. You know, if you keep him in the mix, you know, lineup wise, a lot of injuries. You know, Jung Ho Gong was out. He had a great end of the season.
Offensively, they're going to be fine.
I hope so. Yeah.
They got the best outfield in baseball. Some people think McCutchen might be on a training block. That'd be a mistake.
Yeah, I agree. You know,
I love to see him in New York for the Yankees, but that'd be a mistake.
It'll come. You'll see that soon enough, I'm sure. But you know, he's the face of the Pirates, and he had a bad year. He still had 24 home runs and 80 RBIs. It's not like
and I said this to many people, I think he was playing with an injury most of the year. I know no words out on that, but the last month he was McCutchen.
I agree.
So, 4 area students I want to talk about that we got some info on that have gone on to colleges and universities that are doing very well. At Temple University, Artrell Foster from Meadville, redshirt junior, has started in the secondary for the Owls. He has 7 solo tackles so far this year and has broken up 1 pass. The Owls are 3-2 and 1-0 in the American Conference. And opponents in this conference, some of the opponents that he plays against are UCF, Connecticut, Memphis, SMU, Tulane, to name a few. Well, Jim and I want to send our congratulations out to Artrell, who's a quality young man and was a standout for the Meadville Bulldogs in his day. Next athlete we want to touch on a little bit is Scott Sater from Sagertown. Scott will be a sophomore this year at Penn State Barron. As a freshman last year, Scott batted .357, 3 home runs, 33 RBIs, and 12 stolen bases. And he's a young man that plays second, short, and third.
He played. I've saw him play a couple times. He was very impressive for a freshman. And another, I will throw this in there as well, from Sagertown, Brandon Crum, the Legion coach for French Creek Valley, Sagertown graduate, has been named the head coach at Mercyhurst Northeast.
Oh, really?
So
they lost Brandon.
Congratulations out to Brandon.
Just recently?
I'm sure, yes, with the beginning of September, I believe. So congratulations to Brandon. But I know he has very high words for the Satas.
Oh, yeah. And so we have an opening at Allegheny now?
No, we filled that with Michael Victory. He came from St. Mary's College of Maryland, from Boston. More of a pitching coach guy, but yeah.
Is that something that will help the team? Is that more of a pitching coach guy?
I think, Brandon was great.
Right.
But yeah, it may be, it will help the coaching staff out a little bit more to have someone who's been a pitcher for, their entire life.
I had a feeling that Brandon would land a head job eventually somewhere.
And he's well deserving. I mean, it's great for him.
Hard worker.
Very hard worker. He knows the game.
Pretty good recruiter too in his own way.
He really is. And his dad's been in the game forever, so that's good for Brandon. Yeah. But yeah, sorry to throw that. I had to throw that in there.
That's okay, and that's true. For Meadville University volleyball team, we have 2. We have Victoria Severo, who's a Meadville grad, middle hitter. She's playing outstanding volleyball, helping the Fighting Scots so far this year with a perfect record as we tape the show. Victoria was recently named the PSAC Player of the Week. She's a senior. outstanding career at the Borough, and she's a young lady, a fantastic young lady who was a standout for the Bulldogs. And the other outstanding player for Edinburgh so far this year, that's a local product, is Shallon Litwaller, a cash grab. She's a junior. She's an outside hitter. She's a starter who is also helping the Borough having a great year. Last year, she was named the PSAC West Athlete of the Year. That's pretty great.
That's pretty big in that conference, yes.
And again, she was also an outstanding player for cash in her day. So those are 4 local young athletes that are doing well in college.
It's good to see. A lot of talent in District 10, a lot of talent in the Meadville area.
And, we have more coming when we do a studio show. But if you have one in particular you want us to highlight, just send it to right here, ctv13@zoominternet.net, and just put on their young athlete and tell us who that person is. And if you have any stats, send those also, and where they're participating, what school or college or university they're at. And we'll get their name on, and you'll see a picture of these people also. Jim, anything else going on?
Well, we talked a little bit about hockey. The NHL season is about to be underway. Like I said, the Penguins could be the favorite. You worry in the East. I think the Rangers will be up there again. You worry about the Capitals, but I think the Penguins...
Rangers will be up there because I still think they have a good goalie.
Oh, yeah, Lundqvist. You can't bet against him. Yes, yes. In the West, I don't know. The Blackhawks are always there. I'd say the Ducks will probably be there since they were in the finals last year. You've seen that a lot in the last decade or so. The team that lost in the finals usually comes back and has a pretty good year the next year. We saw...
What about the Red Wings? Are they starting getting...
They made the playoffs for 27 straight years, I believe. I think that they're kind of going the way of the Yankees, actually. A lot of young talent. They've had some retirements. I think Toronto's still a little bit off now there.
Buffalo?
They could be on the rise. I think they could be top 8 in the conference. They have They have the young talent as well. Dan Bosman's a great coach, so they could be a team to watch for sure.
Penguins going to keep their coach the whole year this year?
I think so. I think they have. I think he's got another couple years left.
Yeah, that's good. But when they've made changes, it's worked real well for them.
The last couple times, you're exactly
amazing.
Right. Yep,
it really is. All right. So for Jim Berger, this is Mike Fiorillo. And by the way, before I end, on my left shoulder, you see a picture of Gary Clark. I think Gary's been doing well up in heaven with the Cavaliers and the Indians.
I think he'll let the Browns slide. He'll give them a pass after
get a few more
the summer he's had. Yeah.
Well, you've been watching Sports Close-Up on Armstrong.